every one of his foot soldiers to feel that they had a marshal's baton in their knapsack, because he wanted them to know that if everyone around them fell, they could take that field marshal's baton out and they could lead. And I think if we as leaders can give people that sense of empowerment within a context of values, within some well-communicated and well-lived, trusted environment, that they won't let you down. And what our people did was extraordinary. They turned the ballroom that was right next to the towers, one of the most arguably beautiful ballrooms in New York, into a station for the firemen and the policemen, and they found ways to make menus at Fridays go farther and farther and get food to some of the people who were stranded. They put beds in hotel rooms, and you know, it was extraordinary. And I think that they took very good care of our competitor, our Carlson Wagon Lee head-to-head competitor, Amex, was in the tower, and we took care of their clients happily. And I really think it was all that had gone before that created the culture that was the context for their decision making.
So like David, you really talk about the benefit of preparation, but like Ann, you're also saying, I think I hear you saying it, that in a crisis, the rule book goes out the window. There is no cookbook that you could follow, but that if people know what the organization stands for, what its values are, that they'll figure it out.
Right. I think the book doesn't go out, just several chapters do.
Okay, good. John, you're at the heart of innovation in this country out in Silicon Valley, and head up one of the most innovative companies. And I think it's not as well known that eBay just doesn't employ a lot of people, but you're really providing a marketplace for millions of people to create their own businesses. What can you tell us about how you and folks at eBay look at this in terms of where the job's going to come from in the future?
Sure, sure. You may not have noticed that you said, now before I introduce our four speakers, I want to make one final point that good leaders admit their mistakes. And we all thought your next sentence was going to be, and I have four leaders here tonight that have made a lot of mistakes. In fact, that's how I selected these four leaders for their mistakes. So I will admit I make a lot of mistakes. You know, this period of crisis, I'm struck by two things. One, just how much of what I'm about to say, this is the commonality in the thread of commonality. But from eBay's standpoint, the last 18 months have been a crisis on two fronts. Most fundamentally is the one you mentioned, which is our customers have been in crisis. You know, eBay has 25 million people that sell on eBay. 1.3 million people make their primary or secondary living on eBay. And these are not, eBay's biggest seller is a micro business by most standards. These are not big businesses. These range from collectors of items that are supplementing their income to people who'd been laid off or couldn't find a job that have created a business, to people that have started a business and now it's a husband and wife team working, to someone that has 5, 6 employees. And as this economic crisis hit, it wasn't just an abstraction for us. It was front and center, the stories every day of eBay sellers really, really struggling. And struggling to make a living, struggling to you know, make ends meet. And so on one hand, this crisis had a tremendous rallying call for our company because it got to the very purpose and values of why we existed. Yeah. You know, eBay exists to help create opportunity for people so that they can have an impact in the world. And our third core value is that we care. We care because people depend on us. And so we kicked into high gear of trying to find ways to help these sellers. And so a small example was last holiday season, right at this time. It was clear that the big name retailers were going to have a horrible holiday season. And so they all went out and said, we're going to lose lots of money this fourth quarter, and we're going to just discount like crazy to get rid of our inventory. And while Macy's can afford to have a bad fourth quarter and lose $300 million, John and Stacy Sefton in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, that have a small business and they're employing their family, they can't have a bad fourth quarter and lose money because it's their life. And so we were going to spend $120 million in TV advertising last fourth quarter, and we stopped it a year ago, right after Labor Day, and said, we're going to give that as discounts to people buying on eBay, so that in essence forms as discounts to those small business people, sellers, because they couldn't afford to provide the discounts. Oh. And so it brought out the very best of our people and the very best of our company. The other interesting dilemma is we were going through a crisis as a company because we too had lost sight of our customers. The eBay experience just hadn't kept up, and we had gotten flush with our success and stopped really listening and paying attention to our customers. And so we made some very significant changes last year to our business model, ones that we didn't wait till it came on the horizon. It was right on the edge of the horizon we needed to make. And that was, on one hand, very hard. On the other hand, the crisis created the opportunity to really push hard in changing our culture and in changing our business model to be more customer-driven. So our organization sort of had this almost bipolar existence last year, feeling very inspired by our customers, but almost having a crisis of confidence about ourselves along the way.
And how long does it take you to push that kind of change through an organization of your size?
Years. I mean, I became CEO a year ago in January and announced these changes a week later, told Wall Street they were going to take 3 years and it was going to get worse before it got better, and we were going to speak truthfully about it. Stock dropped in half. And we were like, okay.
Ann knows about that a little bit too. Ann had a little experience.
In some ways, that's liberating, right?
Yeah, right.
But it takes time. Aligning the people, getting people to agree, having our customers and our stakeholders understand what it is we're trying to do and how it's consistent with their values and not against our values. That those values have to be applied in today's world and in tomorrow's world. So it takes time. And someone said earlier, communication is